Hey friends, so today sharing something a little bit different, a journey that I've been on for a long time, really about a year, and that is with my health. And I've just been so passionate about sharing it because it's been such a meaningful journey for me. Really completely changed my daily life, and I had no idea that my health could do that. Thought that I was really healthy. So, I know I've been saying that I'm going to share more. I'm going to share more of my journey, and I haven't. So, making time today to go through my notes with you that I took as I started this journey a year ago. So, a year ago, the end of March of 2025, I had an appointment with a new doctor. So, just a new family doctor. Of course, at that appointment, she felt my thyroid. There was nothing, just a normal appointment. And the very next day, I noticed a selfie. I was at a Mary Kay event, took a selfie with a friend, and was like, oh my goodness. I deleted it and was like, we have to retake that picture. My neck looks fat. It looks like it's crazy. It's like warped or something. Never thought anything else of it. That night, got back to the house where I was staying for that trip, and went into the bathroom to wash my face, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it was like a baseball on my neck. So I was like, that was not a picture weird angle lighting thing, this is my neck. So when I did get back to the doctor, she was hopeful that maybe it was a large lymph node or a goiter. We did blood work. That actually came back fine. Did an ultrasound that showed that it was even larger than what she had thought with feeling it. And then also showed that I had another small nodule in the other side, and that this mass was definitely on my thyroid and underneath my thyroid tissue. So fast forward, we did additional blood work, nothing too alarming in that. We did a biopsy, 4 needle biopsies. All 4 needle samples did come back saying that it was the same type of thyroid cancer. So my appointment after my biopsy was emotional. I was told that I had cancer. I mean, Kleenex box out, hand on my knee, telling me this, and that I would need to be moving quickly to get it removed, that I may have to remove a part of my thyroid or the whole thyroid, or they just weren't sure yet. I was told that the next step was to see an ENT and an endocrinologist as soon as possible, within the next week. And then they would decide if that whole thyroid needed to be removed, or if it was possible just to remove the mass, or what needed to be done. In the meantime, more tests were run on the biopsy samples, all coming back that it was probably cancer. So there's a scale. It was always on the end of cancer at that point still. The endocrinologist said that he would not see me until my symptoms were chronic and my thyroid was removed. Then he would see me. The ENT said that I could wait a few months. It was a slow growing type of cancer, and that there was a chance that it wasn't cancer. So at that point, I'm like, what are you talking about? How do we know? I was told you have this, and then told hey, we've done more tests and it was confirmed. I was never told that I didn't. I was never told it was slow growing. My family doctor told me I needed to be moving fast. So during this time, my symptoms, I was struggling to breathe. There was pressure from the mass that caused horrible coughing fits, where I would wake up during the night gasping for air. I couldn't catch my breath, and it would happen during the day as well. And I would feel almost like I had a sore throat, but just right in that area. It wasn't my whole throat. I had some pain and just some trouble swallowing. So I pushed a little harder to see the ENT, and she said it was much larger than what she commonly sees, that they've done genetic testing on the samples from the biopsies, and that showed that there was a large chance that it wasn't cancer yet. So because of the obstruction to my breathing, they could remove it, but at that point it would be considered cosmetic surgery. And since we're no longer 100% sure it's cancer, that would be a cosmetic surgery. So if this type, if it is slow growing. So they had just said, like, the plan at that point was to leave it be, keep an eye on it. I would continue to get ultrasounds once a year, watching for change, and then maybe biopsies depending on what that showed. And they said it is common for that eventually to be cancer, even if it's showing now that there's a large chance that it isn't, especially since my initial biopsies and other testing showed cancer. So it was more of a matter of when versus if. And that first appointment with my doctor before the mass, I had brought up several things that were hard for me to bring up, that I was kind of embarrassed to bring up. Some of them weren't too bad, but some of them were, and I wanted answers. I knew that I wasn't myself for a while, and I felt like there had to be a medical reason. I'm cold all the time, and this had then become like very extreme cold, like so cold, could not get warm. It would be warm in the house. I would be in layers. I couldn't break a sweat. If I'm sweating, it's usually because I'm cold. Like, I'm so opposite. I wasn't dealing with stress well, and that is not me. I usually do handle stress pretty well. And I was not at all. And I have a lot of stress in my life, and I had just gone through a lot in my life that was causing more, and I couldn't handle even the little things. And I was tired all the time. I was exhausted, literally exhausted. If I would have had the time to sleep all day, I could have slept all day and all night, and felt like I could fall asleep while doing things. I was so tired. I'm usually a joyful, glass half full kind of person, but I was becoming angry and negative and down and kind of depressed. I couldn't find joy despite trying all my usual things. I usually have an abundance of patience, and I had none, whether it was with my kids or with other people, or it didn't matter. My patience was gone. I was noticing this all about myself. I was bloated. I never dealt with that before. I have always dealt with sinus pressure pain, like horrible, through my cheeks, like on my cheekbones, into my eyes, and it was just always horrible. But I was always told that it was like change in weather, which it did. It always got worse anytime the weather changed, whether it was warmer, colder, rain coming in, end of rain. I mean, every little change, I would call it a facial migraine, because it was all through my face, but it was like a migraine, but only in my face. But I was told it was my sinuses, and that they were very sensitive to changes in barometric pressure. That's what I've been told for years. So I talked to this doctor about all these things, and then some other things that I talked to her about. I had been randomly getting sick. I'm not somebody who usually gets sick. I do take pretty good care of myself, and I take my vitamins, I drink lots of water, and I eat healthy, and I move my body every day. Like, I've never been somebody to get sick often. And during this time, I was like randomly getting sick. And so not just a cold. Sometimes it was like cold symptoms, but other times it was like I was getting really weak. I was throwing up. And then there were days that maybe it wasn't that bad, but it was like I just didn't feel good. And of course, having to push through and do my things, just not feeling good. But I knew something was off. Like, I really felt so sick. And then those days where I was so weak and throwing up, it was worse than I've ever been sick. I mean, literally collapsing on the floor, not having the strength or the energy to get up, that extreme. So I talked to her about all these things. I didn't have a drive. I'm usually a very internally driven, motivated for anything, my business, my kids schooling as a homeschool mom, just so much that I'm usually just very like excited for life and motivated to get the next thing done. And there was nothing. I was going through the motions of the bare minimum of what I absolutely had to do. I didn't want to do anything. I had no desire, drive, motivation. I mean, none of it. So I talked to this doctor about all these things. I had, during this time, of course, tried to fix things on my own before talking to her. I was spending more time with the Lord than ever. I was reading my Bible more. I was going to church more. I made myself get outside in the sunlight more. I made myself move my body more. I used my sunlight lamp more. And nothing was helping. And anytime that I would have gotten myself down in the past, these are the things that pulled me out, and nothing was helping. I knew that this couldn't be just my life now. I knew something had to be wrong. I had major brain fog. Like, I could not think. I mean, there were times that my kids would mock and be like, Mom's brain's not working. And I couldn't think. I would lose my train of thought. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy now to know the difference, which I'll tell you. I'm going through kind of the timeline with you, so we'll get there. But, just like felt so heavy, and like I was at my full capacity all the time for my brain. From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, it didn't matter how much I took off my plate, or nothing. Like, my brain was so overloaded and so foggy. Like, that's the only thing that I can think of to describe it, is just like a thick fog. Like, I was in the clouds and not in good clouds. But let me see, where was I? And being sore. I was always so sore and tight through my neck and shoulders and down my back. If anybody would grab like they were going to rub my back, I was like, ugh. Like, I was so horribly tight and sore and in pain, and all of that is gone. I don't have any tightness. I'm not sore. I don't have any pain. My knees and hips, I've had surgeries as a teenager, that I've always had pain through my knees and through my hips if I'm on my feet a lot and things like that. And I haven't had a problem with any of that. Like, it's crazy. Major brain fog. Okay, and then my anxiety. I've dealt with anxiety my whole life. As a kid. And I have, in my adult years, really gotten a good handle on my anxiety, and was not really struggling with that, not in a big way at all. And now, during this point in my life, I was struggling with it to an extreme, worse than I had ever struggled with it before. And I could not take that back to, like, what caused this. I couldn't find something that I could bring it back to. But that anxiety was an all-time high, and it was crippling my life. I mean, if you have dealt with extreme anxiety, you know, but just daily things that I could not function, that I would break down, it was bad. And then my confidence dropped tremendously. In my personal life, for the most part, that was the worst. That was the biggest drop. Being out in public, especially by myself, in my business, I was just losing confidence across the board. And despite how hard I was working on that, nothing seemed to help. I felt like I was losing my mind. And I told my doctor, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I'm telling her all these things that are happening. And telling her, like, I feel dumb telling you this. I feel weird. Like, this is, I don't know, like, I'm just complaining. But I know in my soul, like, something is wrong. This isn't me. And my doctor said that it was normal. It was normal for me because I was in my 30s. It's normal for me because I'm a new mom. It's normal. It's just normal. So, I went on, of course, after that first appointment with my life, but then the mass showed up by the time I got to see her again, and I was given that cancer diagnosis, that initial diagnosis from her. I asked her, could this be connected to all those symptoms that I've been telling you about? And she said, no, all those symptoms really are normal. Because you're in your 30s, you're a mom, there's a lot of stress, that's life, and those symptoms come from that. But I knew that I needed something to blame this on. This could not be my life. So I started saying to myself, like, it has to be the cancer. And then I talked to the ENT about all of this, when she said, chances are, like, you might not have cancer right now. Down the road maybe, but right now there's a big chance you don't. So, you know, that conversation. So I asked her about all these things, and she said, I don't really know. All I know is how to remove it, not what causes it. But in my personal opinion, I don't think any of it is connected. Those are things that every woman in her 30s, especially moms, deal with. So I pushed to see the endocrinologist, started doing my own Google research, right? And thought, this person, they can help me. They can help me. From everything I'm reading that they do, like, that person can help me. And I already had the referral. So I just need to push to get them to see me, because they are saying, I'm not going to see you until your thyroid's removed. And I had no luck. I could not be seen. Line in the sand, not unless my thyroid was taken out. So my doctor now thought, maybe it is okay to wait. Maybe we don't need to be in a rush. So I called 2 doctors that I had had in the past, and both had thought that, you should probably get a second opinion. This should probably be removed. Cancer or not, that big, should be removed. So I really didn't want my whole thyroid removed, if possible. I really would have loved to avoid surgery. And I also really didn't want to be on medication the rest of my life. But I also didn't want to do nothing. So right before going to that ENT visit, I did reach out to a naturopathic doctor. She was somebody who I had seen her post some in a homeschool group, and I had reached out to her like months prior, just like about one of her posts and things, and about having an appointment with her. But I just couldn't justify having an appointment because I felt like nothing was wrong, right? And then especially opening up to my new family doctor and finding out like this is all normal, then I was like, well, now I'm really gonna sound dumb if I reach out to this naturopathic doctor, make an appointment with her, spill my guts again, and just to be told like this is normal for women. And I'm like, this is crazy that we have to live our lives like this. Something has to be done. So before that ENT visit, I reached back out to her, and we had our appointment right around that same time, but she was able to pinpoint what she thought were 2 main causes and a few first steps. So I have had several root canals. I was told at a young age that I had very soft enamel, and there was nothing that I could do about it. And overnight I had took really good care of my teeth. My dentist always said things looked good, but then all of a sudden I would have like this giant abscess, and I would go in and they'd say we need to do an emergency root canal. So I had several done. My first one was when I was in 5th grade. So like over the span of my life, I've had a lot done. And when she looked at my mouth, she had said, one of those, at least one, if not 2, are on your thyroid meridians. Because I also had my wisdom teeth removed years ago, you may also have some cavitations as well. And then next big thing, so my mouth was one. My next big thing was emotional trauma. I've been through a lot in my life. And losing my best friend was probably the hardest thing that I've been through. And I went through some hard before that and after that. And then after talking more, I realized I've actually had a traumatic birth as well, and how much that can actually affect your life coming into the world through trauma. So it's just been the wisdom, the knowledge it's been amazing to learn. So for that, she recommended brain spotting, which I'll get back to that later, but that has been amazing as well. So then she recommended that I start getting rid of toxins. So I switched to natural toothpaste, which these things I had done in the past and just had gotten away from. But natural toothpaste, natural deodorant, natural shampoo, natural laundry detergent, the things that I clean my house with, making all of those things no tox, right? So did all of those, and then my diet. I thought I ate healthy. And looking back, like, she probably laughs. I'll put her website in the description, but she probably laughed that first time, our first appointment, because one of the things she asked me was, how's your diet? And I was like, oh, it's good. Like, I grow my own vegetables. I can my vegetables. We eat from that garden like year round, from the canned goods, from freezing, from fresh. I yeah, like I don't eat a whole lot of like pre-packaged processed foods. We don't eat out that much. What else? Like, and I told her that probably the worst thing that I do is that sometimes for breakfast I have cereal. And that's probably the worst thing that I eat. So she was like, okay, so tell me what it is you're eating. Give me a couple typical breakfasts, lunches, and dinner. And then as I started talking, she's like, okay. So she suggested cutting out dairy, any dairy alternatives, for the most part, and then gluten, refined sugar, food dye, anything artificial at all, and all processed foods. Okay. So at first I was like, okay, like that's easy. Gluten and dairy, that's the only thing I wasn't already doing, right? Until I started trying to do this. And it was overwhelming at first. But if you're watching this thinking like, this is what I want to eat like this, I want to eat better, I've been told, like whatever, it's not hard. In the beginning, it's just hard to wrap your head around. So at first it was like, okay, I thought that I already limited sugar. But then as I'm looking at labels, it was like, oh my gosh, refined sugar is in everything. Like even things that are marketed to be healthy, sometimes the front of the box will even say no refined sugar. But when you look at the back on the ingredients, it is. Like, blows your mind what is legal to put on packaging. So anyway, it was hard. I thought that I limited food dyes, but I wasn't looking at the back of things that didn't seem like they had color, right? But there's so many things that you would never think that food dye would be in that are white or not have a color, or they seem like they'd be the regular color. And then you look at the back and there's food dye in it. Nothing artificial, gluten. So I got really good about looking at the back of packages. And then I realized, wait a second, everything that comes in a package of any kind has some level of processing. So I'm still eating processed foods. So then it was like, okay, brain shift. How do I do this and cut out processed foods? So, I had some friends that I had to reach out to and like that I knew had some food allergies and things. And I talked to them and they helped me change my mindset instead of like, this is what I want to have for dinner. What can I have instead? To look at what you can eat. You can eat meat. You can eat fruit. You can eat vegetables and eggs, fish. I was also told to avoid coffee. I had a big mold. Mold was big for me and coffee has a lot of mold. So avoiding coffee. So, okay. I started drinking tea. Which now I love tea. Did not think I was going to like tea. And pretty much all of my meals anyway always had a meat and a vegetable. So I can do this. And that was that shift for me, where now I know I have, obviously I've done it for a long time now, but I had the confidence by just saying like, okay, I can have a meat and a vegetable and we can do 2 vegetables. Like we can do multiple vegetables. We can do meat at every meal and I'm going to be okay. So then she did have me get on some detoxes, some vitamins, and that has been an amazing help. And, of course, changing my diet, I think, has been the biggest help. So, started all of that right away. The food was a little bit slower. I started everything else right away. I cleaned out my house. I threw away the toothpaste and the laundry detergent and switched all those things back to what I had been using before, the natural brands I had been using before, and slowly started in on the food as I could transition and wrap my mind around that. So I was making these changes and I ordered the vitamins that she suggested right away. I was just so excited. One, that I had somebody who was willing to do something instead of just like, we're going to wait until this is cancer and then we're going to remove it. But somebody who says like, let's fight this now. Let's do what we can right now. And that felt good. But then also through our conversation, I gained some confidence to tell her all of those symptoms I'd been having. And she was like, yes, this does not have to be your life. There is something wrong. It absolutely can be connected. And that felt amazing. So, after my appointment with her, I did reach out to a former chiropractor, and I greatly respected him, do respect him and his opinion. So he looked over everything from biopsy stuff from my doctor, the ENT, to everything that the naturopathic doctor was telling me. And he reached out to a good friend and mentor of his who works specifically with cancer patients naturally, and they agreed that I was on a good path with my naturopathic doctor. So I used an oxygen chamber when I could, when I had access to one. A friend of ours has one, so I did that some. I changed my diet. I did 2 rounds of brain spotting, and the size of the mass, on the outside at least, had started to decrease. I was breathing better. There was no more sore throat, no more pain, no more coughing, and then the tightness slowly started to go away with swallowing and everything as well. It took a few months to really start feeling a difference, like really about 3 months. And then I noticed my hair got thicker. I had lost a lot of my hair. My hair was super thin. It was no longer curly. I always had really thick and curly hair, and that had been gone for a while. And then after about 3 months, I noticed that, wow, my hair's a little thicker. I can't use these thin hair. I was going to see if I had one. I don't think I have one on my wrist. You know, the hair things for thin hair. Here's one. I couldn't use these anymore. And I had to go back to the regular hair things, and that felt good. And then after a while longer, I could go back to my hair things for thick hair, and my curl, like I'm getting some wave back. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And I kept waiting for something in my stomach to feel different, because everybody was like, oh, eating that way, you're going to feel so good. Your stomach's going to feel better. Like, did my stomach hurt? Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I expected it to be in my stomach. That wasn't the case, but my skin, so clear. I have dealt with acne since a very young age, like 11. Have been to see every specialist, every type of doctor possible. Have done everything for my skin, and if I skip a night of my skincare, you know it. My face tells you. So that was the only way I could ever keep my face clean. And now my face is clear. Like, of course I'm still using great skincare, but I don't have to use acne products anymore. My face is clear from the way that I'm eating and how I'm treating my body, how I'm taking care of my body. Then I started, my energy changed. I had the energy to get through the day. My mood, my patience, my drive, my motivation. I was myself, my joy, everything that I was told that was normal for somebody who's a mom and in her 30s was changing. I was becoming myself again. So I scheduled appointments with a holistic doctor in California, and she did find a huge abscess on one root canal, and the other 2 root canals were infected, and they were draining into my sinus cavities. And then I do have cavitations where my wisdom teeth were, plus I had metal retainers, like the those permanent ones that they put across, like around, I don't know, right here, and then on top. I had those as well, and I had some fillings and 2 metal crowns. So determining what my body could handle and what's most important for my health, that dentist with my naturopathic doctor, they decided to do the top right side root canals one day, and then both bars they took off another day. So I have 2 root canals, and they were on my thyroid meridian, and they were draining into my sinus cavities. Those have been removed, and then they started working on cavitations from my wisdom teeth, and my metal bars have been removed. This was just a wonderful experience. This dentist prayed with us, with my boyfriend and I, before for guidance. She prayed during the appointment, just for God to remove obstacles and so that my body could do the healing that it needed. The first day of surgery started with the roots, or started with that top right root canal, and the roots were huge, and they were so tall, so long, that they had holes going through my sinus cavities, through the sinus membrane, and had giant stacks of infection on them that had been draining into my sinus cavities. Can you imagine that? letting that go, getting that out of your body. So, remember those facial migraines that I always felt from sinus pressure? Guys, I've had none. Not a single bit of pressure in my face. Not a headache. I used to deal with headaches like crazy. I took Tylenol and I took ibuprofen. I don't have that anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time that I took an over-the-counter pain medicine for anything because of these changes. So, we then did the other thyroid meridian, since the thyroid is the big cancer concern, in case that root was also through the membrane, and it was. Then we also removed, I told you, the both metal bar retainers. We replaced the bottom with ceramic so that those would still stay in place. We worked on the cavitations a little bit for now. I do still have one more root canal that needs to be removed that does have an abscess on it, but we will get there. This journey is... doesn't have an end. We will be continuing to be on this health journey. But what else? And then continuing to work on my cavitations where my wisdom teeth were. But guys, I was barely swollen. Like, I don't know if you've had wisdom teeth removed, but back when I had my wisdom teeth removed, I had like softballs. I couldn't even open my mouth. So I was like prepared for that, but it wasn't. I didn't take Tylenol or ibuprofen. She didn't give me anything. I was barely a little bit swollen if you really looked at it, and I was tired and I was sore, and just for a few days. I wasn't in pain. I didn't take anything for pain. I took some homeopathic things for healing, but within a few days I had even more energy. I had way less brain fog. I was even more patient. My motivation, my excitement, my joy was even more. Like, I could feel such a difference again, even more than what I was already feeling. So the journey for me has just been huge. And I'm continuing to learn more every day. And I'm continuing, my naturopathic doctor and I are friends now, and continuing to see what my body wants and needs. But my biggest takeaway was how, one, our teeth are all connected to the rest of our bodies. Like, why are we not taught that? Why don't we know that? When something's going on with a part of your body, like, let's look at that tooth and that meridian and what's going on with that tooth has been awesome. And then to know how different I felt from changing what I was eating. My mental health was really bad. I wanted to quit everything. I was in such a dark place. And you can feel the difference as you change what you're putting in your body. And I thought that I was doing healthy. And now even once in a while, I will grab something in a package, and because the outside of it will say, you know, free of just real ingredients. And I grab it, I look at the back of it, and I'm shocked. There is still sugar, even though it says no sugar added. It is still have artificial things, even though it just says it doesn't. I mean, all of the things. It makes you really want to make everything at home. And I do. We have very few packaged things that we still allow in our home or in our bodies. Out to eat is almost gone. It is very rare, and in specific restaurants or ordering specific things and being careful with that. And there have been a few times where it's like, well, let me just go back and try this. And I do feel different. And the biggest place that I feel different is in my head. My anxiety, my mental capacity, my mood. And I can't, it's hard to believe that your mental health is so connected to the things we're putting in our bodies, especially the things that a lot of times we think are healthy, or we think it is in moderation. It is just a treat. But when you start really looking at it and you get off of all of it, I will never go back. My life, I have my life back. So we're still working through my thyroid, and I am truly believing that we can heal that completely. but it's going down, and it's not causing me any problems. Never again has it caused me any problems with coughing, with gasping for air, with shortness of breath, with swelling, with the irritation, the tightness, the swallowing, none of that. So I know that we're on a good path. And yeah, so I wanted to share with you because I have been saying that I will share more. And I also wanted to share because I hope that I encourage somebody, maybe somebody who felt all the things that I was feeling, or maybe you are dealing with some mental illness. And I'm not saying that this is like a cure-all, that you won't have mental illness anymore, but I can't imagine how much is connected because of how horrible my anxiety, my depression, I was compared to now. I got my life back, and it has just been passionate. I've been passionate about sharing that with other people because you can too. So I'd be happy to help you if you just need somebody to talk to not feel like I'm crazy saying this like I did. I'll put my naturopathic doctor, my friend's website in the comments or in the description. And maybe it's a healthy eating journey that you want to get on and you don't know how to wrap your head around that. I needed people to talk that through. So I'm totally happy to do that. And I do share a lot of my recipes on my social media as well with the hashtag Cooking Chronicles. So you can check that out. They are not mine specifically. I've taken recipes and changed things to make them healthier. But it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. And I just wanted to share that with you.